Hi, sports fans. I'm Earl Chirsty. We have an exciting show for you today. I have the one and only Jesse B. Brown. He is a finance advisor. You're going to be hearing some great things, especially in the world of sports with athletes making that big money. We're going to hear some great things from this gentleman. Welcome to the show, Jesse.
Thank you, Earl. I'm really happy to be here.
Well, I just got to preface this because I had the great joy of seeing you at work, and it would really impress me how you were doing certain things, giving seminars on, just advising people with finance. But what's so great about it, you have been written up, and you got to tell the sports fans. First of all, where are you from? That's what I'd like to know.
Well, I was born and raised in San Antonio, Texas, and that's where I got my first interest in sports. As you know, Earl, I was a high school athlete, and played high school basketball and football, and that's where I really learned teamwork. And through that teamwork effort, I was able to get off to college and really get into my studies. So I'm from Texas, but I live right here in Chicago now.
You know what impresses me too. Now you said you come from Texas and you're doing those certain things, but who motivated you to get into the finance? Because a lot of time young people don't get into the financial aspect. You were a stockbroker, right? Am I correct?
I'm a stockbroker, but let me tell you, I didn't start out being a stockbroker.
Okay.
It was my teachers in school. Actually, it was my coach who really got me going. You know, they talk about English teachers and history teachers and math teachers, but it's that coach that really motivates young people. And I think that it's so important that we laud our coaches for all the excellent works that they do. And it was my coach who told me to prepare myself in high school for college, and he developed the teamwork mentality in me. Between my coach, who was also an assistant scoutmaster on the troop that I belonged to at my Boy Scout troop at my church, and through those two elements, I believe that I developed my leadership skills early in life. It was the coach.
You have to tell the sports fans, what are some of the magazines that wrote you up? I couldn't believe this. Wall Street Journal.
Yes, that's right. September, I was on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. Just this month, in October, I have a column in Smart Money magazine, which is on.
So last month in October, you were on that.
On Smart Money magazine. I've been on various television shows, including Fox on Money on cable. I've been on MoneyWise television. I've been on Minority Business Report. You know, the reason why I'm on all these programs is because today, more than ever before, people are interested in money. You know, Earl, in the past, people had some kind of like self-assurance that the government was going to take care of them.
Right.
Social Security. You heard about it.
And no
Medicare, all that sort of thing. But you know what the government is telling us these days? The government is telling us each and every day that there's something wrong with these entitlement programs. And for that reason, it is becoming more and more important for everyone to pay attention to their finances. Not only the athletes, but everyone. Now, especially the athletes, and I know you want to talk about that, Earl.
Yeah, well, you know, when I think about it, you think about the people like Shaq O'Neal that's making the big bucks, of course, Michael Jordan. Let's start off with some of the big guys that are making money, or Garrett. What should you tell them when they're making those big dollars? How would you go about trying to invest those dollars?
Let me ask you something, Earl. Baseball is frankly my favorite sport.
Okay.
It's kind of like a forgotten sport. People, talk about basketball a lot and football. But do you realize it was just a few weeks ago that Piazza, the catcher for the New York Yankees, got a $91 million contract. Can you believe a baseball player getting that kind of money?
Unbelievable.
And this is why we need to pay attention to our finances. Not everyone can make it through the minors and the farm clubs and make it up to the major leagues. All these sports are making a lot of money. What gets me is the ones that don't make it. Now, let me ask you this question. You ever hear the name Darnell Autry?
Yes.
It wasn't too long ago, he was the #1 running back in the whole history of Northwestern University.
That is correct.
He was a junior.
Right.
He decided not to graduate. He left early, went to the pros, went to his dream team,
That's right.
the Chicago Bears.
Right.
Guess what? He got cut.
That's right. That's right. You was
Now,
good at your last minute.
That's right. He got cut. Then he went to the Philadelphia Eagles, and now, guess what? He's out of football. He wants to become an actor, but he hasn't found himself a movie yet. So here's a young man, 21 years old, started out with a promising career, but guess what? He left college early. At this point, he does not have his degree. So what does he have to fall back on?
Exactly. And then some of the guys, like some guys were very intelligent. When they first got their monies, they started putting them into certain things, in which we're going to talk about. And a lot of guys don't, because you don't live like you're making $20,000 when you're making $200,000. You're going to try to live like you're making $200,000 or more. Like most people spend more than what we make.
Well, actually, what they call that in the industry is conspicuous consumption. In other words, we got to get the cars, we got to get the diamonds, we got to get, all the fancy stuff that goes along with it. And that's one of the things that I want to talk about. I wrote the book called Pay Yourself First.
All right, what a great thing. I mean, a lot of people love that. Pay yourself first, and we're going to elaborate on that. In fact, since you just mentioned in the book, maybe you can just hold it up and see your beautiful face on there. But,
it's not about my face. It's about the saying, pay yourself first. If some of these athletes had taken the time to make themselves their most important bill once they got their contract, they wouldn't be where they are today.
Right.
And you know this. You're a former professional football player.
Right.
If you had invested all that money and in a way that it would prepare you for your future and have an annuity, wow, you'd own this station.
Well, I tell you one thing. Now, we didn't make a whole lot of money now, but what you're saying, and you're going to explain to it, it's not how much you make, it's what you do with it, and that money over the years will compile.
Actually, you're absolutely right. You don't need a whole lot of money to start saving and investing.
Right.
Matter of fact, today, many mutual funds will allow you to begin investing with as little as $50 or $100 a month. So if you think we ought to get into it, let me try to explain to some of your folks.
Why don't we
how do we go about it?
First, we go by the order of investing, and I just wanted to put this up and see if we can get a little camera on this, just to talk to the folks about that, and then we're going to get into really the finances, because it's amazing how you really work there.
Well, actually, the key thing that you have to do is you have to have a base. So you have your income, and with your income, then you can determine your standard of living. Now, the first thing you need to do is have protection.
Okay.
What I mean by protection, I'm talking about insurance or an emergency fund, because guess what, Earl? Bad things happen to good people.
Right.
You have flat tires. Take Hurricane George here not too long ago. Hurricanes, just things happen. So you have to have an emergency fund set aside for instances like that. Once you've done that, then you can begin investing.
Okay, now when you say emergency, some people say, well, I'm just paying my bills. I don't have no extra money for emergency funds.
Well, you have to realize, as I said before, bad things happen to good people. So if you have a flat tire or your gas tank runs on empty, you got to have some way of pulling out that little extra effort. Now, a lot of my friends consider me their emergency fund. I know a lot of your old ex-ball players consider you an extra their emergency fund.
Exactly. And that's a good point. I mean, you find out who your friends are. You say, hey, and everybody has emergencies, just like you said.
Yeah, things happen.
Oh, wow.
But the main thing that you have to do, and you can show the next chart now, is that you got to have a goal.
Okay.
If you don't have a goal, how are you going to get there?
We heard that a lot of times in sports or anything. It's the same theory. Definitely have to have a plan.
Now, remember when you played that Super Bowl, the big one that you won, Joe Namath and the rest of the boys, what did he say? Our goal is to win this thing.
Right.
And that's what we have to do in our finances as well. We have to have a goal. At the same time, when we have a goal, then we have to have a strategy. We have to figure out how to get to where we want to go. In other words, if your goal is to have $20,000 over the next 5 years to then make a down payment on your house, guess what? You have to divide that into a workable way of getting that money. You have to put away $5,000 a year because you need $5,000 over the first year, the second year, the third year, the fourth year, and then you need a little extra money for the closing costs. So you have a 5-year plan. In other words, you need to work a plan. And then once you know what your plan is, your strategy, then you need to work on a portfolio. Once you do a portfolio, then you have a product. You decide how you want to invest your money. Now, some people want to buy a stock, just one stock. Well, you know, that is kind of like putting all your eggs in one basket. You have to be careful about that, Earl.
Now, let's break down portfolio. Some people know it different ways. Just to elaborate what you mean by a portfolio.
I'm glad you asked that question because, you know, that's a pretty big, fancy word. But all it is a basket of all your different types of investments.
Okay.
Many times I tell people when they want to buy one stock or one bond or something like that, that they're putting all of their investments into one particular thing. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket.
Heard that one before, yes.
So one way of doing that, the real key to success in building a portfolio is you have to have 2 key elements. The first element is diversification. Now, diversification is just that. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Have more than one stock or bond or whatever. So you need to have different kinds of things. And the second thing is professional management. Because while you and I are right here on television, we can't be watching those investments. So we need an able professional manager of our funds.
I'm glad you said that because that's what I said was people don't know what to do. They have to have someone personal to help them out with these different plans.
You know, Earl, let me tell you something.
Like a coach.
Like a coach, absolutely. Just like a coach. You know, if I was sick and I needed surgery, I certainly wouldn't go to Walgreens and buy a knife. I would go and find myself a doctor, all right? It's the same way with financial affairs. Too many people spend more time planning their summer vacation than they do planning their retirement. I think everyone should have a financial advisor as part of their cadre of friends. Even Jesus had 12 friends around him, and you never know. You may need somebody to help you on one thing or another. Exactly. You have a lawyer, you have an accountant, you have a tax preparer. You really ought to have a financial advisor with you. Now, one of the ways that people who don't have a lot of money can do this without hiring
that's what I was